Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Poland Weekly Business Focus program. Today it's my great pleasure to have in my studio Julia Boguslavska, an Ukrainian lady, Ukrainian woman, entrepreneur who has been based in Poland for 10 years.
Yes.
Due to the family matters. And her story is really amazing. We had a chance to meet actually some time ago and to discuss what's your story in Poland, what are you doing in Poland. And I was so amazed with it that I thought that you would be a fantastic guest in our studio to tell us what you are doing and how you are supporting nowadays also Ukrainian women to help them develop professionally, to help them be more integrated into the Polish society. And in due course, when the geopolitical situation will be less tense, maybe to go back to Ukraine and also to use those skills in their places of origin. But maybe that's just a short introduction from my side, but I will be really pleased if you tell us your story. How did it happen? You moved to Poland. What's your story of being in Poland?
Thank you so much for inviting and good afternoon. I came to Poland in 2013, where I didn't anticipate any war in Ukraine, including one in Donbass, where I'm originally coming from. However, life is cruel because, as you mentioned before, geopolitically, it's our probably lifetime burden to bother with aggressor who could not get quiet with our advance and developing towards European values. I arrived to Poland in 2013 for family reasons because of the career of my husband. And I was far from searching particular economic stability for myself. I was anticipating that because of my experience in the United Nations before and a couple of high master degrees, I will be easily finding job or any sensible occupation in Poland. But it was really an effort because before I didn't practice Polish so intensively. I knew it is the major obstacle in terms of job search. I was fluent in English because of my previous job experiences. However, I think Polish employers are quite demanding and it's a very intelligent nation. I have a lot of respect to people who taught me how to progress locally. I was happy to find a job in a big company using English as a working language. But I felt some kind of psychological pressure that it's not enough to be accepted in the society and to feel good also for myself. I was really longing to integrate with not only business environment, but also in terms of local community. I never had any Ukrainian contacts almost for 10 years of living in Poland since
in Wrocław also, let's
in
add,
Wrocław,
right?
Yes. I was based in Wrocław from the very beginning, and this is where I started also to develop a career in corpo, and then later opened my own entrepreneurship. However, life treated me, as many Ukrainians last year, in a cruel way. My family is still in Ukraine, partially in Donetsk still, and my parents are in Lviv. I never had a possibility to support Ukrainians in 2014. There was no special infrastructure. People didn't write or speak about that a lot. There was a time of Maidan and acute situation in Kiev where I was quite loud in Europe in terms of political situation. But then in the next half year from the I think 2015, nobody specifically focused on that. And I know third sector and many NGOs, including the one who later on accepted me under the wing of a big foundation, gave me a chance to develop my own NGO in Wrocław. But I didn't feel the potential that I could develop it at that point of time, because definitely there was not so much support around the war subjects. I worked hard during last 8 years to take my parents from Ukraine and to relocate them to Poland. They resisted to stay here. I think it is the preference of the majority of Ukrainians that they don't want to relocate on a permanent basis. Even now, I observe the trend that every possibility women are using for going back actually to where they belong to, and it's quite understandable. I can tell you even more, if I would have a choice to go back to Ukraine, I would definitely do it. But at that point of time, for the stability of my kids and first of all, my personal development, I have chosen to fight for my place in Polish society. And I think somehow it worked so far.
Yeah, so it's learning by doing, because your experience,
Exactly.
you use it now for the foundation that you mentioned, Ukrainian Women in Poland. Yes, and this is the objective, to support other women from Ukraine, to give them these lessons learned from your experience, how to be better integrated into the society and how to actually be the part of the community, yes?
Exactly. I generally think that help has a female face. It's not only my opinion, but this is how we see Polish society erected from the very beginning. Of course, men also were extremely engaged in supporting, but that's the huge heart of mothers, I think, are always decisive how long this support can be provided. And me, of course, being a woman, a mother, it was crucial for me to give Ukrainian women a chance to try themselves in their new environment and to make their way to integrate with local society a bit shorter. I know that everybody has their own path, and we all are learning by failures and successes, but last year was not really a time for success for Ukrainian women. It was heartbreaking for me to observe how it damaged my society, how it damaged mental health of refugees, how kids are suffering, being totally lost. It was very important for me to take care also of even Polish kids who were not prepared to face such a situation in schools, in museums, and actually find their place in this whole situation. And from the very beginning, I didn't want to focus on short-term support. For me, it was obvious that I don't possess such a huge infrastructure to assist regularly with transportation inside of town, or accumulate some food or Pampers or any kind of humanitarian aid, as many organizations did. So I have chosen the way to pass my knowledge and experience of Polish life, to share with them how we can do it together. And even before 2022, I had an idea to create an entrepreneurship club for Ukrainian women. It never came to success because any unpaid, not commercial initiative normally doesn't survive long as an idea unless somebody's sponsoring that. And with the beginning of war, I have realized that it's great that I didn't do it before. Actually, it was a fantastic opportunity for me to turn all my anger and frustration facing this war again, and being lost as well, because I just before the start of full-scale war, I moved my parents from Donetsk to Lviv. It was a very hard experience for me, a very time-wise absorbing, which also influenced probably somehow in my private life and professional life. I had to sacrifice a lot to fight for their safety in Ukraine. And I thought that it is also a great lesson learned how to adapt, basing on my family as internal refugees inside of Ukraine, and my migrant experience for 10 years, to accumulate that all with contacts in business and professional environment, and search for the support of bigger NGO, which would have already some financial history, and fight for some funds actually to start own initiative. And that was a great adventure for me to approach one of the biggest organizations on Los Silesia area and ask them to help me to start it up. So I treated it from one side as a great thing to do to help others, but I think in that way I also help myself to pass through that dramatic experience. And actually, as I mentioned before, to turn that all anger into something great. And that's how I started the story with Ukrainka w Polsce, actually, in last year. And
so what do you do? And are you the one looking for those girls or ladies, or is it the other way around, that you already have a position that they know to approach you if they want to, And are they open for such
we have
support?
quite organic, actually, audience, I would say. Except of NGO, for some considerably long time, I'm also practicing entrepreneurship in a form of marketing agency. And that's again a point where I cannot mention my great colleagues and business partners who are with me from the very beginning of my journey, generally in Poland, as well as Ukrainka w Polsce and Halo Brands. It's a great two Polish women who gave me a space to take care of Ukrainians with the beginning of war, taking over actual responsibilities in our commercial projects. We are specializing on visual communication and marketing strategy, and have a great experience in helping others to create brands actually in Poland. So we thought that if many intelligent women moved to Poland, and particularly to Wrocław, we can support them in creating their brands if they want to develop, whether they choose to be employed as a B2B contractors, whether they choose to really create something from production business to service business. As a Slavonic nations, we are very close heart-wise, and we have a lot in common, from kitchen to similar way of thinking, similar approach to mothership, even to business in some ways. However, I think many things are still different between us, including things how to develop business. And I'm pretty convinced that marketing is, first of all, something soft skills, which is quite possible to learn. I'm having rather issue how to help doctors and lawyers and more narrow specializations. However, also a lot of young women arrived to Poland who are open to requalify somehow themselves, and they're extremely creative in their business ideas. We have observed the trend that as soon as we started to announce that we are doing all kinds of trainings in sales, in marketing, design thinking, most important from the very beginning, we started to practice psychological support. We're doing clinical psychological support. We're working with groups between 8 till 15, 17 people, depending on a subject of concrete meeting, ending with coaching, business coaching, which is helping to somehow develop some potential of entrepreneurship in yourself. It's hard to say how simple or complicated entrepreneurship generally is, but I think most important is to cultivate the courage to take the first step and to give yourself a space to come and try and to listen. I think that was my first observation, which was really impressive for even myself, when the most difficult is to ask women to come to the first meeting. And our first meetings were nothing to do with business, but rather psychological support only.
And building the safeness that this is a place where you can actually
they
be
started
open,
to come, to share,
be yourself.
to explore. We tried to develop such a curriculum in the framework of psychological support as well as business. So it's not a rocket science given by the universities, because it's rather hard to achieve through just courses or trainings. We are not qualified university courses. But it's important to share the knowledge and to give them a space to develop. All our audiences as 100% highly educated women, very often even not with one degree, but a couple of degrees. And I remember how I was passing myself through the challenge of somehow underestimation of myself. At a certain point of time, I was losing to believe in myself or potential, because everything which is new is actually scary and people do not like new things. And it doesn't matter what it's connected with. If you are additionally traumatized by the factor of war, oh my God, that's hard to describe what was in their mind. But we have women who are attending our classes from the very beginning, and some still considering that they need to attend only psychological part of our support. And many of them actually progress even further. And they started seriously to search for stronger educational opportunities, because in our point, like an information hub, they received the first touch of what is existing in Poland. And I had huge doubts if I should open a foundation or any kind of NGO myself, because for me it's like another entrepreneurship to be opened, with a certain budget, with people to be recruited, with completely different expertises than I possess myself. But I approached it from the project point of view. I had a great team of Foundation Ukraine in Wrocław who gave me this time to feel that I'm really sure I want to do it. And I really wanted to develop myself in that field. So when you're running something as a project, you're automatically restricted with time and with the project design. Whatever you asked money for, you have to stick to that. Otherwise, you are in trouble with many changes, especially if the project is short-term and doesn't have a huge budget. But I took this risk, and we were functioning for the budget of Kulczyk Foundation only for 100,000 zlotys for the whole year. But I think what is an extreme success of Ukrainka w Polsce is the possibility to mobilize other people who actually offer their services for free at the expert level.
So you mean about the whole ecosystem?
Yes, exactly. I started to invite entrepreneurships from local to assist us with English language, because most of Ukrainian, especially highly educated women, they do have some knowledge of English, while with Polish language is a huge challenge to learn it from scratch. I think they still succeeded incredibly for this year and a half, because there are many persons I met from practically first days of war, and they couldn't bound a couple of words together. And now I see the trend that they are almost fluent, actually. And I do realize how strong the language barrier is towards your future abroad as a migrant.
So without a language, it's really hard to plug in fully and be connected.
Yes, extremely hard. And actually the reaction of many potential employers in terms of recruitment of white collars is quite understandable, because without local language, you can't do much. Actually, how to help. Today I had an interesting meeting with one of the owners of a big Polish company which is recruiting Ukrainians and other migrants, actually delivering them to many also big companies abroad, not only Poland. And we were brainstorming between ourselves what we can do with actually those more intelligent people and more highly educated, because that is a problem. The huge problem Ukrainians are facing as refugees of war is work underqualifications. And that was my major focus. I was scared to death to work that way myself. And I put a lot of efforts to learn language. And as soon as possible, I wanted to somehow even assimilate in some way with Polish people. I completely avoided any hanging outs with Ukrainian people because in 2013 there were not so many Ukrainians in Poland, especially in Wrocław, and I didn't search for that type of contacts. But when war actually brought this crisis, I was thinking immediately back about myself and recollected in the memory what I wanted to do about that. And actually I transformed that all and my experience into some kind of actions. But I think I wouldn't achieve nothing by now if it's not the Polish societies and Polish partners who really wanted to support me in what I started. Actually, I never call it my success or Ukrainka w Polsce. Ukrainka w Polsce is absolutely a human project of Wrocław, Warsaw, Krakow, and many people from business, NGO, and even political level who are up until now 100% supportive to that. Money is also might be a problem. Money is always a problem, I would say, but I think it's just a matter of time to also prove you are capable to do things, even with small budget, and then accumulate this reputation and apply for more local...
It's about credibility, yes, and sometimes it requires time. I mean, you need to be patient, right?
Most important, and I think this is something which I also did as I consider in marketing with the approach to many businesses, which we helped with my business partners to build. I have my own authentic personal story. As a Ukrainian from Donbass, as a person with the experience of war, if it comes to my family. Fortunately enough, I didn't run away from the rackets themselves, but it changed nothing in my life, absolutely, because I have this bloody application which is alarming few times a day, no matter if you are in Donetsk or Kharkiv or Kiev or Lviv. And with this stress, many Ukrainians are leaving. So my task in the framework of this Ukrainka w Polsce is not only fight for their financial independence and show them some kind of road to start to go, but it is also a little bit taking care of social security of Poland. And of course, in some way, an economic growth, because many women, and as we know, from the middle of 2022, if I'm not mistaken, it's now almost 30,000 private entrepreneurship were opened by Ukrainian women. And it's really impressive number on that scale of refugees. Absolutely. And they really try hard all their ways to stabilize in Poland. So I think my major task is to educate, as any NGO does, to focus on women, to support them psychologically, because without that, there's no way you can concentrate on any creative ideas or develop yourself professionally. But what was more important, which pushed me actually to open the foundation, was taking care of elder kids. We started to work together with Google in Wrocław with age group 15 plus. And this is the huge potential for the future of Poland and Ukraine, to my opinion, from the reintegration point of view.
From the integration point of view, but you also mentioned that it is a long-term thinking, and in a due course, when the war will be finished, it's also about, human potential and human capital that will be also necessary for rebuilding Ukraine. And I think this is also what we mentioned when we first met, that it's actually about, developing those people with the skills, whether it's currently teenagers or young adults, and then in the due course they will be also a part of this, I'm sure, quite successful
I strongly believe in that. I used to work for United Nations, a particular agency which was dealing with HIV/AIDS prevention, but I have learned how the approach is to solve global issues of humanity. It doesn't matter if it's drugs or kids or population or demographic or climate issues. There should be a smart approach and I think very narrow specialization. I wish I could cover many other subjects and needs of refugees in Poland and maybe generally in Europe, but I think it's impossible, and my focus is on a quality provision of services, no matter what we do, whether it's business trainings or cultural trainings or integration. I think the subject of day is very actual nowadays and
pragmatic and close to reality.
Yes, exactly. But I think Ukraine was still a little bit far in terms of how, compared to Poland, how progressive Poland is with female rights and differences and the payment between men and women. We were on a great way to fight for our rights as Ukrainian women in Ukraine. But then 2022 arrived, this bloody February took our future away. And I think if it comes to equality of women, that's not the equality we wanted to fight for, with 60,000 Ukrainian women appeared to be on a war. And the rest of women actually are fighting every day, just going to their working places, there and back, under the shooting and shelling and hiding. They are still bringing up kids in that situation. And those who decided to escape from the rockets and arrive to Poland, they are often also criticized for some kind of betray in Ukrainian society. That they could not stand in a row of army or anything to protect military your country. I don't think everybody should go to the war. It's extremely challenging subject psychologically and mentally. We are damaged dramatically in terms of mental health, and those women who are in Poland now, they also have their own war, including myself for the last 10 years. I mean, to stabilize in foreign country, you have to really fight hard for your position, which is obliging you, in addition, not only focus on your mental health, but also to focus on the ability to learn. Not every woman at the age of 40 plus has wished to do it if she's already after a few high educations. And that all feelings, that they were very familiar to me. And I wanted to minimize this criticism. I wanted to give them a chance, to give them a hand on the Polish side, so they feel safe, so they have a platform to network, to choose at the end if she wants to open business or just to listen something. I think the most important victory of those who are attending my classes in that they do this first step of opening door for themselves, because we all know how hard it is to open another door if the previous one is not closed yet. And in their case, it's impossible. We will never close the door to Ukraine for ourselves. I know it by myself for all last 10 years, and I'm pretty sure that this is a destiny of every woman. At the same time, to open a new door, including private challenges of bringing up kids, especially in a teenage age. That was a big challenge. I was considering, how can I help now the youngest one? Because many of those children are performing as their fathers. They are often bringing up the younger kids because mothers were escaping from war with 1, 2, sometimes 3 kids. In addition, somebody took their grandparents or just parents. And those all women were coming to the classes, but they were sharing the experience, how challenging it is for them to fight in a school not only for their own position as a newcomers of Polish society, but in addition to fight for the position of their kids. So for me, it was immediate decision after a year and a half, after we closed one project, what to do next with this project, whether we are closing and I helped as much as I could do, or I shall continue and give it second, more serious life. And I have chosen to mostly sacrifice my business and gave all my free and busy time for the benefit of Ukrainka w Polsce, because I think it is our turn as experienced migrant to help Polish society to progress and to live without conflicts in this country, very close to each other, with respect to each other. For me, it's still the issue of security. It is safeness also of Polish people. And I do believe that especially Polish women will advocate together with me as long as possible, so we can help each other longer. Especially that since maybe half a year or a little bit more, I'm also Polish. And I think it became a little bit easier for me to advocate for Ukrainian priorities as a migrant, as a Polish. I see a great potential in that. And great plus for myself. It was challenging for me to even consider Polish citizenship. I was resisting as hell many years in a row because Ukraine does not accept dual residency. But as now I'm more randomly in my country, and I'm not focusing on the bureaucratic aspects of that issue, I definitely took decision to go for it, to be able to help others and use this power of be a citizen, like full right society member.
Yeah, well, how I see it, what you are saying is actually, first, as you say, it's really sometimes hard to be in a position of being suspended between things. And I think, that your project will bring this perspective. We have to act. And I think it's interesting, this perspective, that even if you act here in Poland and you can have this feeling that actually it's, about your, building roots maybe in Poland, actually, when there will be a better situation, you can use all what you achieved here and use those skills and your experience back in Ukraine. And I think that this is also this long-term thinking, which actually this working here doesn't exclude you to work in the future for the rebuilding of the Ukraine and being a part actually of the society in Ukraine with all the skills that you gained here in Poland. So tell me maybe now.
I always considered Poland to be a very international country. My experience with Poland started more than 17 years ago from the Polish people I knew in Kiev and my family. From my husband's side, but I never felt a need to be like a full right part of the society. A residence permit actually allows you many things you can do, including professional development. That was never an issue. However, I think it's also crucial to understand that to be a citizen of any country, you have also to deserve it. And if we speak about the personal brand and building the brand in the form of company or the way how you will be perceived in the society, as Ukrainians, we have to keep in mind who we are together with all our origins and be truly patriotic in a more cultural way in terms of respect. You can be a citizen of 3 countries, but if you don't carry certain values, it's just a paper. It's nothing. It's no information about you as a personality, and any achievements actually merge immediately. But I think.
But I also think the more we talk about diversity and understanding, it's about how much you contribute and whether we share the same values and not necessarily where are you from, I think.
Exactly. And I wanted also to demonstrate by that example to Ukrainian women that they should not be afraid of any radical steps if they're really in need to take certain decisions and to choose. There is nothing to do with betray of your country. It's rather a matter of safeness or seeing other additional possibilities.
Yeah, not to sit still and do nothing. Yeah, because I think then actually even the mental problems might increase. Yes, because sometimes you have to have this step-by-step perspective that you do something. Standing still is something more difficult.
I do believe that many kids who are brought up in Poland now, Ukrainian kids, they will not be asking their mothers shortly if they have to go back. Kids are kids. They are absorbing very quickly certain behavior, trends, values, and they're very accelerating. They're quite independent in their decisions and preferences. That's also a trend I observed from those women who expressed their concern how to bring up, because they ended up in international environment, and it was extremely challenging to suppress their hormone in the case of teenagers, crisis, etc. But I think very soon, when they will be over that teenage age and the war will be still going on, they might choose to be a part of this country, and they will apply for Polish passports. So I do believe that the education we're providing for other kids is crucial to build their approach, to show them how Poland is actually functioning in many areas. So they do not experience that only from unsuccessful experience in school, because we know it very well that kids are not well integrated, even though schools and different local authorities are trying hard to support them, but they rather do it on the intuition level. We do not
and
have
adaptation
in Poland,
is a long-term process, especially if you don't know the language.
We do need absolutely capital migration policy, and I do believe that it will be a priority for the next government. We all are waiting until it will be formed finally, so we can again focus on helping and moving Poland forward, and help Ukraine more constructively. But I think third sector was never so powerful as now, because in my example, it shows that every person has impact. Even though we believe sometimes, it's additional headache, I don't have money, I don't have registered organization, or I have my own troubles every day, why do I need to input? There are many organizations. There are many organizations, and there will be never enough to provide huge support to Ukrainian needs, and I hope soon also on Ukrainian side when we will be rebuilding it together. So for me, it's a great potential in children, including women, because I think it's them who will be forming a new Ukrainian society when they will return back home. They will not be the same Ukrainians. They will remain beautiful Ukrainian women with all their potential, but I think Poland, lifestyle of Poland, law in Poland, economic conditions, team which is surrounding those who are already employed, that all is so quickly influencing our minds that there is no way that they will not be absorbing it and in the future bringing back to our country. Maybe they choose to stay. Then this need in integration and educational support is never-ending story.
Well, everyone has its right to decide.
Yes.
But I think, this impact, I really agree that, everyone has an impact, but everyone has to believe he or she has an impact. And I think that's the critical thing. So I'm sure that, you are by your example proving that it's actually truth, and it's much better to move forward and to start doing something than just waiting. And because maybe waiting is not the best strategy nowadays. We are not sure what the future will bring, but at least to be ready and to be in the mode to act. And also surround yourself with the people who are like-minded, who can bring the support, who are actually positive support for you. And then I think
I
life has a more...
I think helping is the best way to heal and help trauma somehow to go away. I was handling it for almost 8 years myself in terms of Donbas and the private situation related to my family. And I was very close to be totally crushed. And I think the success of Ukrainka v Polsce is that I'm still helping others. I do hope so. Otherwise, it would be extremely challenging for me to cope myself with this psychological state. So I do believe we will be able together to grow this community, call ourselves one community, and transform it as a best practice for other countries. I think it's a great example how everybody can have an impact. And this is my strongest argument, because it's hard to achieve whatever without budget. The world is extremely commercialized. But I think this wish to help and advocate for something great as something extremely positive, which is giving me also a power. I see that as a plus of our Slavonic nation generally, and I see it very much in the Polish people, especially women. I think women are extreme power of this country, and I learned a lot from them.
Well, I can only agree. Julia, thank you very much for this interview. Very interesting. I wish you a good luck, in all the projects that are upcoming and, to develop. And I really believe that we can all have an impact, and together we are stronger.
Thank you so much for inviting and letting me sharing my views.
Thank you.